Alright guys, we got some more fun stuff coming at you from the playtest. They dropped Morbius in our accounts and said go nuts, and we can share this information right out the gate. So in this video we're going to talk about T4's ISO 8 and the character's role on the team. So we'll do that for the 4 Dark Hunters, and then we're going to do it for 2 possible 5ths that I like more than other people. We'll talk about why I like them more than other people and which matches these guys are going to shine in the most. But let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and start with the leader of the team, Morbius. He's not out yet, but because they're allowing us to playtest him and share it with you right away, I have to assume he's coming tonight, Monday, March the 7th. So as far as his role in the team, he's going to go first. He's going to set the stage. He does buff flips. He puts a bunch of debuffs on city heroes. And that's basically determining who we're going to be targeting with this team. So as far as his T4 priorities go, you have to do the passive. It is a mandatory, it's his most important T4. Next is the ultimate, really strong. Having to do extra damage is great, but the disrupt that it puts on the primary target is clutch in certain matchups, which you're going to see here. The basic, he has that Omega Red 10% lifesteal basic, so if he's going to attack vulnerable targets, it's really good extra damage. So I do like the basic, though it's not mandatory. Really the only mandatory T4s for him, I would say, passive and ultimate. And then the special, it puts extra bleeds on adjacent targets. In the matchups we're going to do, he's not really going to benefit from that, but I figured I'd include it as a good T4 for modes like Scourge and for Tower. You're going to see him make reference to both of those modes quite a bit while we go through this. For ISO 8, Striker and Raider, on paper, Raider kind of feels like it would be better because he's going to go first. His ultimate cannot be blocked, so he's going to get those vulnerables out to set the stage for the rest of his team. However, I like Striker better because his ultimate cannot be blocked, and in live there's going to be a lot more boosted teams which give lots of deflects, and he flips those deflects to bleeds, and as a Striker those bleeds are going to do a lot more damage. So I'm personally going to have him as a Striker. In the footage you see, he will be a Raider, so just keep that in mind, and I'll try and point out any extra vulnerables that appeared because of that wouldn't have if he was a Striker. So let's go ahead and look at Dr. Voodoo. So Dr. Voodoo, he's really a kit-based character, and he's kind of the if he gets to do his abilities, you're going to win character. For that reason, you want to have him big enough so that he's going to survive to hit that ultimate on his second turn in war. But let's talk about him outside of the mode as well. So as far as priorities go, the special for T4s, you have to do this one. If you don't, no ability block on that mind control, which is going to be very important for these matchups. Next is the ultimate. It increases the potency of the ultimate by a factor of 2. So instead of stealing 20% life, it'll only steal 10% life without that T4. So you really want to put that T4 on. And then it's his passive. Firstly, I didn't think this passive was going to be super necessary, but after doing these matches on the playtest, I have to upgrade it to like nearly a mandatory T4. It gives him survivability. He'll get a death proof when he drops below 50% life, and it'll also increase the crit damage of the Dark Hunter team. So I think that's very important. We'll see why it's important. And then finally, his basic. This is not a war T4. This is for Scourge and Tower mode. Outside of war, he's not going to be able to use his ultimate on turn 2, so you're going to want to have that basic T4 to do extra healing, and that's going to lead us into the ISO 8 talk. In war, I think Skirmisher is going to take the lead here. If your Morbius is a Raider and Voodoo hits into this, he's going to peel off taunts from certain annoying characters like Miss Marvel or Luke Cage, so you can go hit who you want to hit. But in Tower mode and in Scourge mode, he's going to be using his basic 2 times before he even gets to use his ultimate. So I like the healer there. It increases that heal he's going to get for his team. So if you're just going for war, which is pretty much what this team is, I think Skirmisher comes out on top. Let's go ahead and look at Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is a cannon, right? And he's not a glass cannon. He's just a cannon. So he does a lot of damage. He comes right in after Morbius. He's going to have extra energy from Dr. Voodoo's passive. So you're actually going to be opening up with the ultimate in, well, all the cases that I'm going to show. So as far as T4 priorities go, you want that passive. This team's pretty squishy, so you need that extra life. Without that, I could see these matchups going horribly. You'll see from the test server footage, which of course is practice mode, these fights are very close. And when the devs sold us this team as punch across territory, they were not exaggerating, they were not lowballing it. So having that extra life is going to be instrumental in making sure you survive to win these matches. Next, I want the ultimate T-Ford. It's a lot of extra damage, and like I said, it's our opening ability. Then you can do the special and the basic. I think both of those are luxury. I will not be doing those T4s. But if you're going to go ham on this team, they're good. Now, I like him as a striker. The bleeds, he's hitting after Morbius. It just makes sense to me. I don't really care for Raider, even though when his ultimate is charged now, it can't be blocked. I think Striker is still going to pull ahead. So for that reason, I'm going Ghost Rider Striker, locking it in. Then we have Elsa. Elsa does a lot more damage than people are aware of yet. And when they see her with that Morbius damage stat he gives on the passive, it's a brand new character. So people who think just Ghost Rider and Morbius big, think again, you're going to want a huge Elsa. So as far as the priorities go, that ultimate, the extra damage she gets from having Dark Hunters and Supernatural teams is insane. So you want that one done. It's not mandatory, but it's a huge quality of life T4. Then her passive, that's going to be very important for the Young Avenger matchup and for Web Warrior matchup. And finally the basic. Yes, we're not doing the special. We're going to do the basic because it hits so many times. And on teams with death proofs, dodges, and deflects, Young Avengers, Heroes for Hire, it eats through all those buffs. And because the basics T4 basically doubles the damage of the basic, I value it very much. And we're going to have her as a Raider just because of the multitude of hits that she does on each ability. I think that's pretty straightforward. Next, Hela. Now, Hela is going to be my preferred character. If for no other reason that I don't want to build Mordo up if I don't have to. We'll talk about where Mordo outshines Hela. Because we have so many more Mystic characters coming to the game very soon. That arena team with Morgan and Scarlet Witch, I barely have enough Mystic gear to bring Morbius up as is. I can't look at my level 65 gear tier 12 Mordo. My Hela was already prepped and ready, so I'm going with Hela. As far as T4 priorities go, I have a lot more done because I used her when she was fresh out the gate in the game and she was OP. If you're just getting her now, just the ultimate, I would say, is a super valuable T4. It's going to spread more debuffs. You're going to find you're able to spread blind and ability block in some of these matchups depending on how many Gregs die along the way. So the ultimate is very valuable. The special is nice in the Young Avengers matchup to land that 2-turn disrupt, though it's not necessary. And I like her as a Raider, but again, if you don't have her super big and you just want her to survive to be able to use her ultimate, you can try a Fortifier. She's not there for damage, especially in the Heroes for Hire matchup. Greg's probably going to die, so she's going to have offense down. And let's talk about that for a second. In the Heroes for Hire matchup, when Colleen kills somebody or when anybody on your side of the field dies, Colleen puts offense down on your entire team. Voodoo counteracts that by giving everybody offense up on the Dark Hunters team, but not to Hela and not to Mordo. So that's important that, you know, yes, you're going to get that offense down, but it gets kind of countered, so you don't have to worry about it. And in the event where Voodoo uses his ultimate, you'll have immunity, and then if a Greg dies then you get offense up without getting the offense down. So I like Hela here, and I don't think it's detrimental to the Heroes for Hire matchup. Also, when Greg dies, Misty gives speed up. When everyone has speed up, which they always kind of do, you get crit damage on your Dark Hunters. So I think that's valuable there too. So yeah, just going over why Hela is not going to sabotage your Heroes for Hire matchup. Next, let's look at Mordo. So Mordo is very interesting on the controller front. His ultimate is pretty much useless in these matchups, but the special is nice, especially with the stun, which is why you have to have that T-Ford. If you're using Mordo, make sure that special is T-Ford. The passive is also pretty nice too. Probably a little bit of a luxury one though. I like him as a skirmisher. I really want him to nail that stun. Can't be blocked, which is great. And to land those extra blinds. Characters like Misty Knight have huge pools of resistance, so Skirmisher will help you do just that. So, enough yakking. Let's go ahead and look at some test server footage. So we're going to look at Baron Mordo against the Heroes for Hire to start us off. So as you see, this is a 50k punch down with Mordo. I don't get to choose the powers of the characters. They're 4 red stars, 7 yellow. They have all their T4s done, so I don't get to pick that. So let's just walk through what the Heroes for Hire are going to do. They have their blinds, right, from Morbius's passive. So they're just eating through their blinds, wasting their open abilities. That's great. So Misty already used, she's the opening attack. She dropped her blind. She's going to do an assist off Colleen now. Colleen was blinded, so she didn't land anything. However, Misty's going to come in, and she does a hit. Now, Colleen's dropped her blind. She's going to do a hit off of Iron Fist. Iron Fist still has the blind, so he misses. But then Colleen comes in and does some huge damage. For this matchup, it doesn't matter who's on the edges. If Luke Cage is in the middle, do not go target Luke Cage so you get a disrupt on him. If it's Iron Fist and Misty on the edges, pick one of them and start from there. You need to hit every single member of this team with the trauma. So there you go. Morbius goes ahead and flips everything. Ghost Rider, you're going to want to use the ultimate here. Don't get suckered into trying to do too much bleed damage. It's not going to work out. Drop the Shang-Chi so that he starts bleeding off his charges. You take him out and this fight becomes much easier. You see Elsa's damage are just insane. It's unfortunate that there's death proofs. Now here's what the test footage didn't do. They used ultimate for some reason here. You're going to want to use the special here. You see I get a blind on the Iron Fist and the Colleen. Misty bleeds out. That's unfortunate. So she's going to go ahead and land her stun. I think she would have anyway. But Shang-Chi comes in. He uses the special. It doesn't cleanse anything because of the traumas. And then we'll go ahead and we'll start finishing people off. So, why did I show this video first? Because the rest of the videos are not going to have Mordo in it. Mordo is the superior 5th member for the Heroes for Hire matchup. If in the Dark Hunter team you are looking for nothing but a Heroes for Hire counter, go with Mordo. He is vastly superior to Hela in this sense. With Hela, I've never had 5 members standing at the end of the Heroes for Hire matchup. What I will say though is I have also lost this matchup with Mordo. I didn't understand how it happened, but it was like 1 out of 20. So keep that in mind. This is not giant punch-up kind of team. It's just not. You have to understand the math for the war at the high end. People are starving for new Young Avenger counters and new Hero for Hire counters to free up Infinity Watch and Weapon X to deal with Dormammu's and all kinds of crazy hybrids that are popping up. So they know that we will shell out all the resources to build this team up high. So just know, this will include a heavy resource investment to make this team work. I digress though. Let's go ahead and look at Hela versus the Heroes for Hire matchup. We're going to see some of the Voodoo, Greg, Colleen, Misty Knight interactions I was talking about, namely the offense up, offense down, speed up, create damage. We're going to see all that. So again, we're going to do it on ×2 just so we can watch the interactions here. Oh, and there is a world where you can have Luke Cage have more damage than Iron Fist. So be wary of that. If you see a Luke Cage with Striker and he's very big and Iron Fist isn't, Iron Fist could not have the blind. I think that was an oversight on the development team. I don't know why they wouldn't just have everybody get blinded. So anyway, the damage comes in on Hela there, and we'll see if Hela even survives to use her first attack. Because obviously her first attack is that spread, which is very powerful. So again, we go for the ultimate on the Shang-Chi with Ghost Rider. We drop him, so he's taking a lot of damage. He's going to start bleeding off those charges. And you see here, he already had a vulnerable because of the Morbius Raider. So I did tell you I'd try and mention that. Morbius as a Raider did put vulnerables, it looks like, on Iron Fist and on Luke Cage. In the scenario where you have him as a Raider, Morbius could have potentially pulled off that taunt. Now, Luke Cage had, I don't know, like 9 buffs, so it didn't choose the taunt, but that's kind of a nice little benefit of the Raider ISO attack. Okay, so there you go. We drop people real low. This time Misty's not going to bleed out, but here's the nice part of Hela. So, she's going to eat through the death proofs before she does the attack. Looks like Luke Cage and Shang-Chi, they're going to die to this attack, not just lose their death proof. Oh, it looks like he didn't actually do enough damage to kill the Luke Cage. That's unfortunate. But he bled out. But we did lose the Shang-Chi, which is nice. So Hela dies. She already did her part. Let's look here. We have offense down and offense up on every single character. This looks like a positioning error on my choice here. He got the ability block because he was beside the Elsa. Probably put Hela here. put whoever has the highest damage in a corner with your 5th, whether that's Mordo or Hela, to eat up that ability log, so you don't worry about that. But at least in Morbius's case, his basic is still super valuable, so he's going to do a big percentile damage there. And then we're going to clean up. So Hela's dead. It looks a little bit sloppier, but it all comes down to Voodoo's ability right here. It's 20% life. You see Colleen's gone. It puts immunity on your character, so you don't worry about any offense downs or anything else along the way. And then you get the W from here. If your Voodoo hits his ultimate when you have 3 or 4 Dark Hunters up, I gotta assume you're gonna get the win there, as long as you took care of Shang-Chi. Now here's why I'm choosing Hela over Mordo. Not just because the resource investment thing, which we talked about, which is a big factor, but because Hela makes this team work against the Young Avengers. There is no 5th member that is going to make the Dark Hunters beat the Young Avengers consistently, except for Hela. Now, let's talk about something right away before it gets blown out of proportion. This is practice mode. In the same sense where we were doing 200k punch-ups with X Factor into Young Avengers, and it didn't translate over to live on the bigger teams, I'm not sure this is going to translate. This is just something that I was, theory crafting, and it worked very consistently on a punch across. It's something I will play with on live and get back to you guys, of course, in multiple other videos, probably a more polished version of this video, but just keep that in mind. Don't crucify me just yet. Let's watch how the mechanics play out. And another thing you have to take into account in this matchup is the positioning is way different. There's only 2 city heroes on this enemy team, and they can be positioned not on the edges, right? So I want to get a disrupt on the Squirrel Girl. Regardless of where Squirrel Girl is, I'm throwing it on her. Kate's going to go first here in this situation, and that's another thing we need to take into account. Is Squirrel Girl going to be beside Chavez? Is Miss Marvel going to be beside Chavez instead of the Echo and the Kate? That's going to change how this matchup flows. Make sure you practice all different variations within your alliance. With the Squirrel Girl going first, it'll call an assist in. There's a chance it goes to Greg, and then it just works in your favor. But the reason I wanted Echo here is because in the worst case scenario to lose this matchup is Echo gets to use her special. So we can't have that happen. That's why Hela makes this matchup work. You notice, Kate did not kill Greg, so we didn't get the turn meter rewind. However, Echo is such a slow character, even with the Chavez boost, Greg goes first. So with your Greg, attack anybody except Echo. Go attack Squirrel Girl, because we're going to try and whittle her down. So there's the attack on Squirrel Girl, there's the kill, and now all of my characters are going to go before the Echo does and puts those dodges out. Very important. It is now a race, just like with X Factor, to kill the Squirrel Girl. So we're going to go ahead and put the Disrupt on her. The reason you put the Disrupt on her is because we want her to not get defense up to 50%, not get deflex, and not get death proofs. Notice, she has a vulnerable. This is where Morbius Raider really paid off. That's going to be extra damage on her. I believe it's 10% with the vulnerable. So that's very, very crucial in what's going to happen next. Ghost Rider's going to go in again with the ultimate. It does more damage, and I don't want to drop more than just one person. If I drop more than just one person, it's going to give Squirrel Girl extra speed. Another thing that just happened is Kate Bishop's passive targeted the Greg. So I didn't get blind on any of my other characters. That's something you have to look out for. If Ghost Rider gets blind, he's not going to kill her, but that's also not the end of the world. We're going to have a bunch of more turns coming up. So here we go now. Voodoo goes in, and he goes and uses the special on the Miss Marvel. This, depending on who is surrounding Miss Marvel, or whoever is surrounding Miss Marvel, wherever she is placed, she doesn't have to be adjacent to Squirrel Girl, is very, very likely to drop her below 50% life and drop the taunt so you can get back on Squirrel Girl. I'm not worried about that not being the case. Worst case scenario would be that Voodoo is the one who gets blinded. Now, if that happens, you're probably going to be stuck behind the Miss Marvel, and we'll talk about what will happen from there. So now Voodoo is blinded, so his ultimate will miss. Squirrel Girl bled out. This is an important thing to think about. Raider gave us the vulnerable on the Squirrel Girl, which let Ghost Rider do his thing. However, Squirrel Girl doesn't spawn with death proof. I think having Morbius as a striker flipping deflects that are no doubt going to be there because on live it's going to be a boosted team is probably going to kill the Squirrel Girl along with the Ghost Rider ultimate. I'm not worried about that not being the case, though I can definitely be proved wrong on live, right? Again, this is all playtest, this is all practice mode, so we're going to have to see it live. And then we're going to go in, we're going to use, I believe, the basic here because we're going to chew through those death proofs. Yeah, we use the basic. Look, so much damage from that basic T4, chews through those death proofs, and now she's gone. Hela's blinded. This is pretty unfortunate. We're going to do a single target attack so she doesn't eat a bunch of retaliation damage, especially because you had defense down. But if she had her ultimate up, it would have been really good. Again, we're going to stick to single target damage here just so we don't need some retaliations. We could pop all the evades, and then Elsa's going to pop more evades with what she just did to the single Echo there. We put some damage on the Echo, and we pull one of the dodges off America Chavez, and then Elsa goes in and pulls another one. Now we use the special, and she's gone. We could have ultimated there on the Chavez. I'm sure Echo still would have died, and we would have been fine. So you see there's some play here. Now, our Voodoo did get blinded, so we're not going to get any healing here. So why would we use its ultimate? It also acts as a cleanse, and it gives you immunity. So it's still a very powerful ability to use the second you get the chance to do so. Here you'll see, I believe I used the special here. You should see that in action. Devastating damage, huge bleeds. If he was a striker, those bleeds are going to hit for even more. Ghost Rider gets a full heal because Hela died. And again, we use the basic, chew through a bunch of those dodges, and then Kate goes down. So that's an easy win. Again, Hela was the only character that made that matchup work. And finally, we'll use them with Hela against the Web Warriors. I don't think this is a very valuable matchup, but if you're looking for a Web Warrior counter, I don't think you're going to need to build it up to a punch across level. And Hela does add a lot here because Greg's dying really messes with the Web Warriors flow. So you'll see here, it looks like Gwen, all things being equal, because this is like all the characters are 4 red star, 7 yellow, has the lowest damage. This happened quite a bit, so I believe that's the case. She's going to be the one person not with blind, which sucks because she's the one person with the ability block. But I digress. Let's see what happens. Greg goes first. He gets hit by the counterattack, and this is what makes all your characters go before Spider-Gwen, which is great. Now, of course, dodging is a factor here. If you get too many dodges, you could still absolutely lose this fight. We erase the Spider-Gwen. Then we put the ability block on Scarlet Spider. We're getting some dodges. Of course, the blinds that they get from being city heroes is playing huge into our hand here. And they're still eating those blinds. And look, because of Greg's die, Hela's going to get to go. Yes, they can still dodge her ultimate, but if we didn't kill Gwen, we didn't kill Scarlet Spider, this is just another chance to get more blinds out there, which is why I think Hela is the best 5th for the Web Warrior matchup. Though again, I don't think this is a very high valuable choice. But yeah, guys, that's what I got for you. Again, playtest, subject to change, and also practice mode. So take it with a grain of salt. But I see the promise here, and it is as was sold to us. They told us in the interview this is going to be punch across Terry on Heroes for Hire. They didn't think this could beat Young Avengers. It does look like there's a possibility it beats Young Avengers, but we need to see it in action with like Med Bay, Cargo Bay, and Barracks up and running. And then we can make a more informed decision. But as always, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, stay happy, healthy, have fun, and enjoy the beginning of your week. Happy Monday, everybody.